30th of January, Tuesday, 2024. And continuing our Jaiva Dharma reading and study. So we'll have a short kirtan. Invoke the presence of all our Rupanuga Guru Vargya for their mercy. And Sachi, she can put a message in that the sound's working okay. Nama Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshaviti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Anitai Gouda Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gouda Hari Bol Nitai Gouda Oh Jaya Nityananda Rai Jaya Nityananda Rai Nityananda Rai Jaya Nityananda Rai Oh Jaya Sachi Nandan Jaya Gouda Hari Sachi Nandan Jaya Gouda Hari Jaya Gouda Hari Sachi Nandan Oh Jaya Radha Madana Mohan Radha Madana Mohan Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Oh Radhe 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 Jai Shri Shri Guru Garangagan Havika Girit Hari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Brishabhanu Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani Ki Jai Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Taratara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Taratara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Taratara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Jai Paramahamsa Srila Gaurikishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai did I say Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati? Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tarasara Shishimat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurikishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Gaudi Varantaracharya Ki Jai Jai Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Jai Swarab Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sika Hosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Shri Gauda Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai Shri Antadweep Mayapur Simantadweep Gaudamdweep Madhudweep Koladweep Ritudweep Janadweep Modamdweep Rudadweep Atmaga Navadweep Dham Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasa Vadmartmika Shri Brajamandal Ki Jai Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Tulsi Devi Vrinda Devi Ganga Jamuna Devi Maharani's Ki Jai Jai Shrimati Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani ki jai. Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Ketra Mandal ki jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Chari Dham ki jai. Chari Sampradaya ki jai. Chari Acharya ki jai. Akara Matraj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Jai Devananda Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Jai Keshavji Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Jai Grantaraj Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Samagat Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Anantakoda Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Golda Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Magina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gauda Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Surupe Daita Surupe Prema Surupe Sahajabi Rupe Nijana Rupe Vibhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavartino Kalo Samarapaitam Unnata Ujvalarasam Swabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundaratu Dikatamba Sudipita Sada Hradare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Prabhajantamana Petyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayate Otarabo Binidustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanotosmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanadavindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Baradram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila, Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of most beloved Nitya Lila, Pravishta Om Asto Tarazara Shishimad, Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Shila Prabhupada. And unto our dearmost Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchitananda Namine, Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate, and to our most illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhabhevacha, Patitanam Pavnivyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. So coming to our subject matter of Jaiva Dharma and chanting through the Falshruti, we're on page 830. 830. 830. That's at the back of the book. Jale Dvaita Gyana Hoya Chita Upadaya Krishna Bhakti Chiratina Upaya Upaya. Such knowledge that is solely related to the duality of this dull material world is fit to be rejected, whereas transcendental knowledge of the divine duality within the spiritual world, Chit Jagat, should be accepted forever within one's heart, both as the upaya, means of attainment, and the upayi, goal worthy of attainment. So this material knowledge, bhautik gyan, is fit to be rejected. It has no welfare for the soul. The soul can't benefit from material knowledge except to enhance his material situation. That's all. To enhance perhaps our reputation. Like a jnani, he wants to accumulate so much respect, etc. So he needs material um, acquisitions and so on. But for a sincere devotee, he just wants that nitya prem. So there's nothing in this world that has value except to be always reflecting on spiritual topics. If we can come to that place of consciousness, then we've made all success with our birth. And that might take time to reach that place where we're not considering the material situation prominently. We're not thinking all the time about my body. We're not thinking all the time about my own happiness. This is called the perverted reflection. In this world, it's perverted from the spiritual world in transcendence. In the transcendental world, the only consideration is how can I make Krishna happy? What can I do to bring Krishna pleasure? But in this material world, at every single step we take, we're considering how can I get pleasure from the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour? What am I going to do afterwards? How will my life become happy for me, rather than considering how can I bring Krishna pleasure? I can bring Krishna pleasure by serving Guru, by serving the Vaishnavas, by serving Thakurji, by serving Nam, by serving the spiritual Dham, the holy Dhams, by serving Ganga Devi, etc. I can make this will bring pleasure to Krishna. If I chant so many beautiful prayers to Ganga Devi, this will bring great pleasure. Jiva kabuja denai, Hare kabunai, Hare sa jiva chintya veda veda mai. The jiva is not a product of dull matter, nor is he Kevaladvaita, absolutely one in all ways with Hari. He is Sat Chit Ananda, but he's very, very small. He's Anuchit. Krishna is called Vibhuchit. Krishna is the sum and total of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, matahar sarvam parantante. He's the controller of all the spiritual and material worlds. This is the nature of Krishna. Whereas we have a hard time just controlling our minds, what to speak of controlling worlds, etc. The jiva is inconceivably different and non-different from Hari. And this is phenomenal. This achintya beda abeda tattva, that we have qualities that are like Krishna. Just like if you take a spoonful of water from the ocean, the constitution of that water is the same as the whole ocean, but the difference in quantity is enormous. Such a huge difference. So that is our position. We do have this particle of God, Satchitananda, within us. It's saying in Shikshastikam, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, the bliss that the jiva can experience is unlimited bliss when we connect with that spiritual potency through the medium of Guru and our Guru Vargya, our line. That is how we will connect with that. Deha kabo jiva nai, dara bhogya nai, dasya bhoga jiva Krishna prabhu bhakta hai. The material body should never be considered to be the jiva, and this earth is not the jiva to exploit and enjoy. The jiva's swarup is Krishna das, jivera swarup hoy Krishnera nitya das. And thus he is meant for Krishna's enjoyment, whereas Shri Krishna's swarup is Prabhu, master, and bhakta, enjoyer. Krishna is the enjoyer, yet I'm trying to cheat Krishna and become the enjoyer. I'm making all these different plans for my happiness, my enjoyment, my pleasure. But Krishna is that supreme enjoyer. If I can serve him, then all fortune will be mine. Then I will be fully satisfied. Jaiva dharma nahiyache deha dharma kata, nahiyache jiva gyan mayavada prata. This book, entitled Jaiva Dharma, neither discusses matters related to the dead material body, nor does it propound the Mayavad doctrine of the jiva's oneness with Brahm. So neither, we're getting the full purport of Nitya Prem in this book on every single page. The focus is only about Nitya Prem. How can I awaken my eternal relationship with the Supreme? This is called Sambandha Gyan. And this is the first requirement that we're going to hear about today. So this Jaiva Dharma is only propounding this. Jiva Nitya Dharma Bhakti Tahe Jadanai Shura Jiva Prema Seva Phala Payatai. The Jiva's Nitya Dharma is bhakti, devoid of material motivation. The Jiva, purified by seva, attains the fruit of that seva in the form of prem. no material motivation. Anyabilasita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam. This is a definition of bhakti. No material motivation. How can there be material motivation if I'm trying to reach transcendence? Transcendence has not even a smell of material contamination within it. There's no even material time in the spiritual world. There's no past or future. There's only the eternal present. So it's a totally different dynamic. So how can I be wanting to access that plane of consciousness when I'm still holding on to these material considerations about my body? So it's a process, though. We hear these things and we wake up to them, but then we forget about them in the next minute because this conditioning we read in the first chapter, it's called nishag, this acquired nature, swabhav. It seems like my nature is material because I've been so much long associating with this material nature, but it's not my pure nature. And the example is given us of an iceberg, a block of ice. The iceberg, if you ask it what is its nature, it'll say very hard. But that's not its true nature, is it? If a warm current comes, it will melt. It'll go back to its swadam of liquid. Similarly, if the warm current from Guru comes, from the Guru Vargya comes, I will again melt this misconception of being the material body and wake up my real nature as a servant, an eternal servant, which is so wonderful. We've nothing to lose, but we're thinking all the time we have something to lose if we surrender. But actually, we have everything to gain because we're attached to what we think we have. And this idea of crossing this line of surrender and giving everything up, well, we might be able to think it and say it, but to actually do it. And we long to have realization of these truths. And how do we get realization of these truths? By immersion in chanting Hare Krishna. That means deeply diving into, yes, like you dive under the waves. You go under the water with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is designed to give us the highest conception. It'll empower us because without that, we won't get that empowerment. Whenever we read anything, we have to chant previously before we actually read it to get the empowerment. Okay, we come to page 185 now in chapter 8. So Nityananda is saying about the nature of the Kanishta Adhikari's inclination towards sinful and pious activities. And then Babaji responded, in the preliminary stage, his inclination for sinful and pious activities will be like that of the Kamis and the Gyanis. But as he progresses in bhakti, these propensities will be dispelled, and his inclination to please Bhagavan will become prominent. Now he's introducing the mood of what is it to be a madhyam. A madhyam just wants to please Krishna with his whole being, his mind, his body, intelligence, everything, his words. Nityananda Das, dear Master, I have understood the situation of Kanishta Adhikaris. Now kindly describe the primary symptoms of the Madhyam Adhikari Bhaktas. Babaji, the Madhyam Adhikari Bhakta has Ananya Bhakti towards Krishna. That's a very high stage of bhakti, of devotion towards Krishna. Exclusive. Ananya means exclusive. That means I'm not looking for a little bit of Ganeshji on the side, or Durgama, a little bit of that influence, or a little bit of Suryadev. I've only understood that Krishna is that supreme personality of Godhead. I'm without any duplicitousness as far as my focus is concerned. One focused on serving. I might not be able to serve Krishna all the time, but my only focus and hope and prayer is to serve Krishna all the time. I'm not looking for liberation, in other words. I'm not looking for any satisfaction in this world, this material world. This material world is dull, dead, and the pleasure in this material world is called Jad Anand. Jad means dull, the dull pleasure of matter. It will not satisfy the spirit soul. You will never be happy if you try to find satisfaction in the material world. Always you will be restless, but only that restless mind will cease when we make connection with the supreme transcendental reality. And it's very, very easy to actually get on this journey, but it's not always so easy to stay on the journey. We need to stay enthusiastic towards the goal. We have to be very clear what is the goal. The Madhyam Bhakta has Ananya Bhakti towards Krishna. His friendship with the Bhaktas consists of 4 attitudes. He considers Bhaktas to be more dear than his very self, Atma Buddhi. He's always hungry for sadhu sangha. He's always hungry to be in the association of those great souls who have understood what is devotion to Krishna. I only want to be with those, because if I'm not with those people, who am I with? Those who are devoted to matter and looking for pleasure from matter. He feels great possessiveness towards them, mamata buddhi. He considers bhaktas as worshipable, ijya buddhi, and he considers them to be a place of pilgrimage, tirtha buddhi. The Madhyam Bhakta also bestows mercy on those who are ignorant of spiritual truth, and he neglects the inimical. These are the primary characteristics of the Madhyam Bhakta. Okay? It's quite clear. When one develops Sambandha Gyan and practices Bhakti Sadhan, which is the means, Abhidheya, one attains the goal of Prem, Prayojan. This is the methodology of the Madhyam Bhakta. It is generally observed that Madhyam Bhaktas perform Harinam, Kirtan, and other such activities in the association of Bhaktas, free from offense. We have to be very careful about what is Shuddhanam. Shuddhanam is not Nam Aparad or Nam Abbas. We'll discuss these in depth in chapter 23, 24, and 25. What is Nam Bhajan? This is very important to understand. But at this stage, we should understand what are the 10 offenses in the chanting of the holy name. And the first offense is to blaspheme those devotees. If we even hear of blasphemy, we should immediately leave that place. We have no tolerance for all of the devotees are all practicing. Everyone's like in a hospital, so to speak. We're all doing our best we can. And sometimes many anarthas are coming out. And a devotee's behavior might be a little obnoxious sometimes, disturbing sometimes, but always pray for the welfare of that devotee. If we try and point the finger, what does Srila Prabhupada say? There's 3 more pointing back at me. If I'm pointing like that, there's 3 pointing at me. I am the offender. Don't criticize devotees at all. Nityananda Das, what are the secondary symptoms of the Madhyam Bhakta? Madhyam Bhakta. Babaji, the secondary symptom of the Madhyam Bhakta is the way in which he lives his life. His life is completely surrendered to the will of Krishna and is favorable to bhakti. He has no other consideration except the progress of his bhakti. He's trying to build a circumstance where his bhakti can progress daily, vigorously, quickly. He's trying to make that, if that's our desire, Krishna will give us the intelligence how to have that situation. Don't doubt. But if we have other little desires on the back fringes, oh, I actually want a nice big house with a nice big garden and this and this and this, then this is not Shuddha Bhakti. This is not focusing on Ananya Bhakti. There's other thoughts there. Nityananda Das, can he still commit sins or offenses? Babaji, some tendency to commit sins or offenses may remain in the beginning stage, but gradually these will disappear. Whatever sins or offenses are still present at the beginning of the Madhyam stage are like chickpeas that are just about to be ground to a pulp. They are still seen in small lumps, but within a few moments they will be crushed and will cease to exist. Yukta Vairagya, appropriate renunciation, is the life and soul of the Madhyam Bhakta. What does yukta vairagya mean? That means appropriate. That means I am renouncing according to the necessities of my bhakti. For example, in wintertime, if there doesn't happen to be hot water around, and I'm living in the holy dham, am I going to go to another place just so I can get hot water, to Calcutta, just so I can get hot water in the wintertime? This will be an extra endeavor. So I will take that tapasya. There's three types of vairagya. There's market vairagya, which is like the monkeys. The monkeys look like they're renounced, jumping from tree to tree. They have no clothes, they have no baggage, no bank balance, no cell phone, no nothing. They're just bouncing around, but they have so many wives. They indulge in this propensity all the time. That's marketa vairagya. That is monkey vairagya. Then there's Falgu vairagya. That there's a river Falgu which actually runs under the ground. It's not like a real river. So that Falgu vairagya is false renunciation. I'm renouncing these different things, but in my heart, I'm still hoping that I will get some remuneration for my renunciation, that some benefits will come back to me. Because I'm renouncing, then I've got to get the benefits. I've still got my hand out as an order supplier to Krishna. I'm not seeing Krishna as my most beloved objective to perform seva to. And then there's yukta vairagya, where I'm using everything in my possession. If you're born in a very wealthy family, then use those resources to print books or to propagate temple worship or to support takoji in any way or to have a food for life distribution if you've got wealth. And if you haven't got wealth, then just give your seva to there. But whatever we have in our possession, we will use for Krishna. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, there's photographs of him driving in a motor car. This was very strange back in that time, in the um, early 1800s. There were not many motor cars, but Bhaktisiddhanta was driving it because he had a program and it was the easiest, best way to go, the quickest way rather than bullock cart. So he utilized it. That's called yukta vairagya. We utilize whatever we have in our possession to serve Krishna. And we're not concerned if we don't have those possessions. Krishna will supply everything. Ananyas chintayantoma yejana pariparsate. Krishna gives what we lack and he carries what we need. Always. He will supply everything for us. Appropriate renunciation is the life and soul of the Madhyam Bhakta. Nityananda Das, does the Madhyam Bhakta have any trace of karma, gyan, or extraneous desires? Babaji, in the initial stages, a faint trace of these things may remain, but finally they are uprooted. Understand, these distinctions, these stages aren't black and white. It's not one day I'm in a box of a kanishta, the next day I'm in a box of them. Everything is in flux. It's moving gradually. It's moving forward. It's evolving. It's like shraddha. You can never say, yes, I passed the stage of shraddha. We're always increasing our shraddha. In any stage, we can never say, yes, I've become sharanagat. It's always in motion, in practice. It's moving, it's evolving. Like prem itself is evolving. Everything is in motion. So these stages, we are in process of coming to these stages, of moving through these stages. It's not just black and white. So therefore, he's saying, in the initial stages, a faint trace of these things may remain. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada used to give the analogy of a fan. You pull the plug out, but the fan keeps on rolling for some time. So these deficiencies will still be there for some time until they actually stop completely. Whatever vestiges of karma and gyan remain in the beginning of the madhyam stage occasionally make themselves visible, yet these gradually fade into oblivion. Because the principal acquisition, we can say, what the madhyam has achieved is focus and attention on Krishna. The Kanishta is very unwavering there. His whole focus is restless, it's uncertain. But the madhyam, he's become fixed on his focus. Understand? Um, do such bhaktas even desire to live? And if so, why? I got to. Oh, right. So let me just understand this question. Whatever vestiges of karma and gyan remain in the beginning of the madhyam stage occasionally make themselves visible, yet these gradually fade into oblivion. Then Nityananda asked, do such bhaktas even desire to live? And if so, why? If they reach such a stage of love to Krishna, then perhaps they want to give up their material life completely. They have no more desire for material activity at all. That's his question. Babaji, actually they have no desire to live or die or to attain liberation. That's the completely liberated platform. They desire to live only to attain consummation of their bhajan. So the bhakta is always considering that his bhajan is not sufficient. The bhakta never thinks, oh yes, I have good bhajan. If anyone thinks like that or says like that, you know they don't know anything. We are always trying to improve our bhajan. It's never going to be good enough. Even when we leave the body, it's never, because without that mood of enthusiasm or greed, then there can be no, you have to have greed for something. There has to be an object that you're greedy for. But if you don't have greed, if you think, yes, I've accomplished everything, I can sit back now, yes, I can enjoy the material atmosphere, then this is far away from bhakti. Far, far away. Always that mood of utsaha, enthusiasm. Nischaya, what's that? Utsaha, nischaya, darya. This in the Upadeshamrita. And this mood of greed is the quality for Raganuga Bhakti. If we're not feeling enthusiastic, we can't even begin this path of Ragmarg. If there's any little drop of complacency there, that I think I've done enough, oh, I've chanted enough, I've read enough today, so then I'll just go on YouTube. What is that? No, no, no. Then one hasn't really chanted. One hasn't really read sufficiently. Were the gopis ever complacent? Ever? They were fraught with anxiety of how they could satisfy Krishna's calm, Krishna's mood of wanting to enjoy them. And they were wanting to give him that pleasure. This was completely reciprocal. Krishna wants the gopis to be happy, and the gopis want Krishna to be happy. And they're constantly trying to increase each other's happiness. That's the mood of a devotee. That mood of ananda, bliss, is without limit. I said before, anandam buddhi vardhanam. In the Shikshastikam, it's saying like that. It's unlimited. But if we think, well, I've had enough, then this is not the path. But why don't they long for death? What happiness can come from remaining in this gross material body? When they die, will they not obtain their spiritual forms and identities by Krishna's mercy? Good question. Good question. See how Bhaktivinoda Thakur answers. Babaji, they have no independent desires. What can you give Guru the most? You can give him your independence. That's what you can give up to Guru. That's what you can give the most. That's the most sacred. That's where we always go wrong, when we hold on to this independent spirit of wanting to enjoy matter. But if I give my independence to Guru fully, then that whole enjoying mood is just evaporated, annihilated, crushed. So it's not my body to, like when Mahaprabhu, Sanatan Goswami wanted to give up his body under the chariot wheel of the Rath Yatra. And what did Mahaprabhu say? You've given me your body? He was saying in front of Haridas, look, this person, he's given me his body, now he's trying to take it back again. What sort of gentleman is he? He's a thief. But why don't they long for death? What happiness can come from remaining in this gross material body? When they die, will they not attain their spiritual forms and identities by Krishna's mercy? Babaji, they have no independent desires. All their desires are solely dependent on Krishna's will, because they are firmly convinced that everything is happening by his will, and that whatever happens is only because of his desire. So either way, they have therefore no need to aspire for anything independently. And what he's assuming, just because you give up your body, will you necessarily attain a spiritual form? Rubbish. This is like a desire for liberation. Actually, it's not a desire to move to the spiritual realm. We don't have enough time in this birth to read all the instructions carefully of Srila Rupa Goswami, delineating the path to the spiritual world, or Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vera can confirm this. I sent him so much stuff today. Will he have time to read it all, absorb it? At least a week or 2 or 3 to actually at least just peripherally read it all. What to speak of begin to make headway into appreciating it. These topics are so dense. We need every moment of these lives and to be as healthy as possible so that we can maintain our study and our careful bhajan to the limit of our degree. Nityananda Das, I have understood the symptoms of the Madhyam Adhikari. Now please tell me about the secondary symptoms of the Uttam Adhikari. The principal symptom is this greed of this Madhyam to please Krishna. That means I have to give up my own independent desires. I only want to follow him. Sarvo Padivya Niyamruktam Tatparadbena Nirmalam. I only want to please him, like Anya Bilasita Shunyam. The same principle is there. These secondary symptoms are their bodily activities, but even these cannot actually be viewed separately separately as secondary symptoms, because they are so much under the control of prem, which is beyond all influence of the material modes. If we actually come into that atmosphere of prem, then we are under another direction. There's another force, so to speak. The force of Yogamaya begins to direct my activities in this world. They're all being guided by her rather than Mahamaya previously. The Madhyam has now come under the control of Yogamaya. The Kanishta is still under the control of Mahamaya. This is the distinction. And my Gurudev said constantly, we have to quickly come to the Madhyam platform. Quickly come to this platform of solid faith. Shraddha Shabde Vishvasa Koi Sudrita Nishchoy. This faith with confidence must come quickly. Nityananda Das, Prabhu, there is no provision in Shastra for the Kanishta Adhikaris to renounce householder life, and Madhyam Adhikaris may live either as householders or renunciants. Is it possible that some Uttam Adhikaris may live as householders? Nice question. Babaji, one's level of eligibility cannot be determined by whether one is a householder or a renunciant. That's not the path of bhakti. You can have bhakti in the householder life and you can have bhakti in the renounced life. The two are not distinct when you're considering from the point of view of bhakti. The only criterion for one's advancement is bhakti. The only criterion is one's advancement in bhakti. That's what I just said. There is certainly no harm if an Uttam Adhikari Bhakta remains a householder, just like himself, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, complete Uttam Adhikari, living with 10 kids and all their husbands and wives and children, etc. All the Grihasta Bhaktas of Braj were Uttam Adhikaris. Many Grihasta Bhaktas of our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were Uttam Adhikaris. Rai Ramananda is the foremost example of this. So it's not about ashram, it's about bhakti. Clearly, what is the degree of your devotion? Only your devotion. Because if we're thinking it's about my ashram, this means I'm thinking there's an external demonstration of my devotion necessary in the world. Oh, I've got to be in the renounced order of life, so everyone thinks I'm a renunciant. Or I've got to be in family life, and then I'll be able to do whatever I want in family life. It's nothing to do with the external world at all. And the ashrams are about the external designation. Whether you're a brahmachari, a grihasta, a vanaprastha, or a sannyasi, these are all external considerations. What was the first proposition that Rai Ramananda put to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Rai Ramananda Samvad? He put Varnashram system. Mahaprabhu said, this is external. Go on. Ahibai, go on. This wasn't considered even beginning to be bhakti. Nityananda Das. Prabhu, if an Uttam Adhikari Bhakta is a Grihasta and a Madhyam Adhikari is in the renounced order, how should they behave towards each other? This is nice. Babaji, the person who is less qualified should offer Dandavat pranams to the person who is more qualified. This stipulation is only for the benefit of the Madhyam Adhikari, because the Uttam Adhikari Bhakta does not expect respect from anyone. In all living beings, he sees the presence of Bhagavan. An Uttam Adhikari is on a whole nother level. He's seeing every, like the example of Jagannath Das Babaji. All the puppies would come and eat off his plate. He saw them all as servants of Krishna, even in the body of puppy dogs. And his followers would try and remove them, but he would count their heads because his eyes were practically blind. And he'd see one was missing, and he'd know that his sevaks had taken one puppy away. They were trying, and he wouldn't eat anything until he brought them back. So this is an example of an Uttam Adhikari. But if you try and imitate this, it's like trying to drink the poison from the churning of the ocean of milk like Lord Shivji could. Are we qualified for that? No. There was a time in Sankaracharya's life when he was walking through the villages, and one Sudra lady came and offered him a sweetmeat, a sweet, while he was with his sannyasis. So Sankaracharya, he looked at the sweet and he put it in his mouth. And then he looked at all the sannyasis and he could hear what they were thinking. Oh, we can accept sweets from anybody's hand and just take them like that. They were thinking like that because Sankaracharya was making an example. But then what happened? He walked a little bit further and he came to a blacksmith forge. The blacksmith was melting lead in a small cup, right, to make a mold. So he requested, oh, can I have that cup of hot lead? He took that cup of hot lead and drank it. And then he offered it to his sannyasi disciples. You want some of this? Try to understand. Don't imitate. Don't imitate. And not imitating brings the greatest joy when we are honest and truthful to ourselves. The last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it's talked about paradam. And what is your swadam? Paradam means somebody else's dharma. Arjuna was trying to act like a mendicant, like a renunciate. That's not his dharma. His dharma was kshatriya. So you should act according to your dharma and your propensity. This is called swadharma, your own dharma. Don't try and imitate, ever. Where are we up to? The person who is less qualified should offer dandavat pranams to the person who is more qualified. This stipulation is only for the benefit of the Madhyam Adhikari, because the Uttam Adhikari Bhakta does not expect respect from anyone. In all living beings, he sees the presence of Bhagavan. Why is Bhaktivinoda Thakur telling us these different distinctions? It's so that we can respect and follow the Vaishnava culture, this spiritual culture is a culture of love. And having love means you properly understand how to respect all the Vaishnavas. The Vaishnavas are the most important part of our lives, in our relationships with them, in dealing with them properly. We should understand what level each Vaishnava is on. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going through it very carefully. So we don't commit offenses. I just already described what is the first offense to the holy name, to blaspheme the Vaishnavas. So if we're slack about this, if we're not clear about this, we will commit offenses, and the potency of the holy name won't manifest in our consciousnesses. Should one bring many Vaishnavas together and hold festivals for distributing Bhagavat Prasad? Okay? Babaji, from the spiritual point of view, there is no objection if many Vaishnavas gather together for some particular occasion and a Madhyam Adhikari Grihastha Bhakta wants to honor them by distributing the Bhagavat Prasad. However, it is not good to make a pompous display of serving the Vaishnavas, for then this activity will become adulterated with the mode of passion. One should distribute prasad to the assembly of Vaishnavas with great care and attention. This is one's duty. If one wishes to serve the Vaishnavas in this way, he should only invite pure Vaishnavas. So it's not for party time. Let's have a pizza party and all the devotees get together to enjoy their senses. I said the other day, very seriously, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati has said when the enjoying spirit is up, is high, know that humility is far away. And if humility is far away, there can be no bhakti. No bhakti. Because what is there instead of humility? It's pride. And what is synonymous with pride? Remember? Envy. Envy. Envy and pride are the same. It means I'm actually envious of the Supreme Lord's pleasure. And this is why we came into the whole material world. We wanted to be the enjoyers, this bhakta. But I am an enjoyer by nature if I'm serving Krishna. But if I'm not serving Krishna, I'll be serving Maya Devi. This is the difficulty because we have that propensity to be enjoyers. Krishna wouldn't want to have our company if we didn't know how to be happy. If we're all glum and miserable, Krishna's not going to be interested in coming and hanging around us. If I'm just feeling sorry for myself, that's not going to make Krishna enlightened. But if I'm very satisfied and happy and everything, then Krishna will come. There's actually a beautiful verse here. I don't remember it always. Sokam sadbir pavaya akrantam yasya manasam kartam tatra mukundasya spurti sambhavama bhavana bhavet. Translation: how can Sri Mukunda ever be manifest to a person whose heart is invaded by lamentation, anger, and other agitations? It's invaded by these things. How can Krishna be attracted to that? We're talking about Harinam with the devotees. Nityananda Das. A new caste has emerged in Baragachi, consisting of people who who refer to themselves as descendants of Vaishnavas. Kanishta Adhikari householders invite them and feed them in the name of Vaishnava Seva. How is this to be viewed? You're just asking so many Kanishtas to come in the name of Vaishnava Seva. Babaji, have these descendants of Vaishnavas taken up Shuddha Bhakti? Nityananda Das, I don't see Shuddha Bhakti in any of them. They only call themselves Vaishnavas. Some of them wear kopin, loincloths. Babaji, I cannot say why this type of practice is in vogue. It should not be done. I can only surmise that is going on because Kanishta Vaishnavas have no ability to recognize who is a true Vaishnava. This is the whole purpose of this discussion, so that we understand who is a true Vaishnava and we learn to respect those. Nityananda Das, do the descendants of Vaishnavas deserve any special regard? Babaji, honor is due for those who are actually Vaishnavas. If the descendants of Vaishnavas are pure Vaishnavas, they should be honored in proportion to their advancement in bhakti. It's always come down to that line. It's not about caste, not about Brahman, Kshatriya, etc. It's about bhakti, advancement in bhakti. Nityananda Das, what what if the descendant of a Vaishnava is only a worldly man? Babaji, then he should be considered as a worldly man and not as a Vaishnava. He should not be honored as a Vaishnava. One should always remember the instruction given by Sri Man Mahaprabhu's Shikshastika. Trinadapi sunichena, tarodapi suhichena, amanina manadena kirtanya sarahari. One should chant the holy name in a humble state of mind, thinking himself more insignificant than the straw in the street. He's in a humble state of mind when he doesn't have any material desires. That automatically makes him humble. If you have no material desires, you become humble. Straw in the street. And more tolerant than a tree. Tree is so tolerant, it'll take any amount of punishment, it seems. One should be devoid of a sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respects to others. Amanina manadena. In such a state of mind, one can chant Sri Harinam constantly. One should be free from pride and should offer appropriate respect to others. One should offer Vaishnavas the respect due to a Vaishnava and should offer those who are not Vaishnavas the respect that befits any human being. It's not that you disregard those who are not devotees. We see the father and uncle of Raghunath Das. They're called Praya Vaishnavas. They would support financially so many Vaishnavas, but they themselves were not practicing so much the rules and regulations to the same degree that Vaishnavas will embrace those. The Vaishnavas embrace those rules and regulations because they know it pleases Krishna. They know they don't want to um, disgrace the Vaishnava order. If the Vaishnavas are transgressing the injunctions of Shastra, then this is very unfortunate for them and the reputation of Vaishnavas. If one does not offer respect to them, he does not acquire the necessary qualification to chant Sri Nam. Nityananda Das, how can one be free from pride? Babaji, one should not proudly think, I am a Brahmin, I am wealthy, I am a learned scholar, I am a Vaishnava, I have renounced family life. People may well offer respect because one has such qualities, but one should not want to be honored by others out of such egoistic pride. One should always think oneself to be worthless, insignificant, destitute, and lower than a blade of grass. We see in the very beginning the Uttam Bhagavat, Prem Das Babaji, when Sannyasi Thakur approaches him. And what does the Uttam Bhagavat do to the Brahmavad or the Brahmagyani sannyasi? He immediately offers respects to him. He immediately offers his prostrated respects to him. Nityananda Das, it seems from this that one cannot be a Vaishnava without humility and compassion. Babaji, that is quite true. Nityananda Das, then does Bhakti Devi depend on humility and compassion? Babaji, no. Bhakti is completely independent. What's that? Bhaktiya Sanjataye Bhaktya. Bhakti is completely independent. This is what Madhurya Kadambini is all about in the first chapter. Bhakti is the personification of beauty, and she is the supreme ornament. She does not depend on any other good quality. Humility and compassion are not separate qualities. They are included within bhakti. They are included within bhakti. I am a servant of Krishna. I am destitute. I have nothing. Krishna is my all in all. The bhakti that is expressed in these attitudes is itself humility, dainya. The tenderness of heart experienced towards Krishna is known as bhakti. All other jivas are servants of Krishna, and tenderness of heart towards them is compassion, dvaya. Therefore, compassion is included within bhakti. If one's heart is melting in attraction to Krishna, he naturally feels affection to all living entities because he sees Krishna within the heart of all living entities. And he wants to um, please Krishna by at least being respectful to all living entities. It's absolute respect is a quality of love. It's hard for us to love, but we have the six symptoms. Tadati pragnati guyam, akyati prachati, bhungte pujayate, sadvidim, what's it? The last one. Lakshman, yes. These six symptoms of love between the devotees should be cultivated for the purpose of melting the heart in bhakti, in devotion. Shama, forgiveness, is the bhav situated between humility and compassion. Beautiful. Did you know that? Shama is the bhav situated between humility and compassion. When I am so wretched and insignificant myself, how can I inflict punishment upon others? How can I criticize others? When this attitude is combined with compassion, forgiveness automatically appears. Forgiveness is also included in bhakti. So these qualities are not extraneous qualities. They're not something we have to work on. These qualities are already there. Once bhakti becomes developed and is moving, then these qualities will automatically come. Krishna is Satya, real. The fact that the jivas are servants of Krishna is also real, as is the fact that the material world is only a boarding house for the jivas. This means that bhakti is also real, because these truths are based on the jiva's relationship with Krishna, which is itself bhakti. Truth, humility, compassion, and forgiveness are four special qualities that are included in bhakti. Nityananda Das, how should a Vaishnava behave towards followers of other religions? The instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam, Narayana Kalo Shanta Bhajanti Hi Anusyuvaha. Those who are free from the propensity to slander others and who are fully peaceful worship Sri Narayan and his plenary portions. I'm not going to rush through this, so there's another page we'll complete tomorrow, and otherwise I'll just be rushing through. And these truths are too profound and deep just to go over quickly. Every sentence almost is like gold. Really, it is. Bhaktivinoda Thakur just is pumping out benedictions to the jivas. And if we can catch it, if we can pick it up, then it's our greatest wealth and auspiciousness for us. So Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Jai Badama ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Vancha Kalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavnebhyo, Vaishnave Namo Namaha.